In the annals of forgotten empires, there is a tale whispered by the desert winds, a tale of a king who had everything the world could offer, yet desired the one thing that was never his to claim. This is not just a story of a fallen kingdom. It is a mirror held up to the soul of every human who has ever mistaken a gift for a possession, and with each victory, a subtle poison took root in his heart. He would look at his mountains of gold and think, "My power did this." He would watch his armies march and think, "My will commands this." The blessings, you see, became confused with his own strength. The gift was mistaken for the giver's hand. Then came his greatest ambition, a whisper born of pride that grew into a deafening declaration. "If there is a paradise in the hereafter, then I shall build its equal here on earth. I will need no other." He called it Iram of the Pillars, a paradise built by human hands. For years, the resources of nations were drained. The sweat and blood of the poor became the mortar between bricks of gold. Gardens were forced to bloom where only sand existed. Roads were paved not with stone, but with solid gold. It was a masterpiece of arrogance. Imagine a king who possessed every rare treasure in the world. His palace was so tall that the clouds brushed against its roof. He commanded an army so vast that the very earth trembled beneath their footsteps. His name was King Shaddad, and he was so consumed by pride in his power and wealth that he claimed he would build a paradise right here on earth. But have you ever wondered what happens when a human begins to view the blessings given by Allah as their own strength? How does Allah teach such a person a lesson? In today's video, we will hear a mysterious and cautionary tale where a great king was defeated, not by a mighty army, but by the smallest of creatures. Shaddad spent thousands of years and shed the blood and sweat of the poor to construct a city of paradise that blinded the eyes of all who saw it. He declared, "I do not need the paradise of that Lord. I have built my own paradise." He had it inscribed upon his palace gates that only those who worshipped him could enter. People bowed before him out of sheer terror. His arrogance began to touch the skies. But he forgot that the ultimate protector and provider is Allah alone. He had defeated all his external enemies, but he was oblivious to the enemy growing within him, pride. He built everything in that paradise out of gold. Even the roads were made of gold. The day of the inauguration of his paradise finally arrived. When he reached there to inaugurate it and tried to open the first gate, a terrifying voice came from the sky. Instantly, his palace turned into a heap of sand, and he was buried beneath it. Somehow he managed to escape and began running to save his life. But Angel Azrael took his soul, and he became a lesson for mankind until the day of judgment. Allah Almighty then asked Angel Azrael, peace be upon him, "When you take the souls of people, who did you feel the most pity for?" Angel Azrael replied, "O Allah, I felt the greatest pity at two moments. One was when you commanded me to drown a ship, and at that very moment a child was born on board. At the same time, I was ordered to take the life of the child's mother. I felt deep compassion, wondering what would happen to that newborn child. And today, while taking the life of this king, I felt pity again. He had built such a magnificent palace and paradise, yet on the very day of its inauguration, I was commanded to take his soul." Allah Almighty said, "That child is the same one whose mother's life you took at birth. I raised him and made him a king in the world, but he stood up to challenge me." When morning arrived, there was no palace and no king. Only sand and silence remained. This event tells us that no matter how much wealth a person accumulates, if their heart lacks gratitude and is filled with pride, their end is always tragic. We often mistake our success as the result of our own hard work, much like the people of Quraysh, who forgot that it was Allah who provided their sustenance and safety. We take pride in our jobs, our homes, and our status, but remember, The provider and protector is Allah alone. Friends, today's story teaches us that we should remain grateful to Allah in every circumstance. Arrogance blinds a person, whereas gratitude brings blessings into one's life.